उधर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सेम सेक्स मैरिजेस को कानूनी मान्यता देने से इनकार कर दिया। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि कानून बनाने का अधिकार केंद्र के पास है। फैसला सुनाते हुए कोर्ट ने केंद्र और राज्य सरकारों को समलैंगिक समुदाय के खिलाफ भेदभाव को रोकने और सभी लाभ पहुंचाने के लिए कैबिनेट सचिव के नेतृत्व में एक समिति का गठन करने के लिए आदेश दिया। सीजेआई चंद्रचूड़ ने कहा कि विवाह की अवधारणा स्थिर नहीं है। इस बीच न्यायमूर्ति भट्ट ने इस बात पर जोर दिया कि विवाह एक सामाजिक संस्था है और कहा कि राज्य वैवाहिक स्थिति प्रदान नहीं करता है और विवाह एक मौलिक अधिकार नहीं है।
The Constitution does not expressly recognize a fundamental right to marry. An institution cannot be elevated to the realm of a fundamental right based on the content accorded to it by law. However, several facets of the marital relationship are reflections of constitutional values, including the right to human dignity and the right to life and personal liberty. Whether a change should be brought into the legislative regime of the SMA is for Parliament to determine. Parliament has access to varied sources of information and represents in itself a diversity of viewpoints in the polity. The court, in the exercise of the power of judicial review, must be careful not to tread into the legislative domain. It is clarified that this court has not adjudicated upon the validity of any laws other than the SMA, the FMA, the adoption regulations, and the CARA circular. Of marriage has changed. This is an incontrovertible truth. Here it is also important to take note of the fact that these changes were brought about largely by acts of parliament or the legislatures of the states. While the passage of many laws was preceded by significant social activism, it was the legislature which ultimately responded to the call for change. Even as parliament and in some cases the courts expand the liberties of the people to conduct their lives in a manner they see fit in accordance with law, many sections of society remain opposed to these changes. Regardless of such opposition, the institution of marriage has undergone a sea change. It is therefore incorrect to characterize marriage as a static, stagnant, or unchanging institution. The discussion in this segment has not scratched the surface of the rich history of the lives of LGBTQ persons in India, which continue into the present. Yet even the limited exploration of the literature and reportage on the subject makes it abundantly clear that homosexuality or queerness is not solely an urban concept, nor is it restricted to the upper classes or privileged communities. The discussion in the preceding paragraphs reveals the diversity of the queer population. People may be queer regardless of whether they are from villages, small towns, or semi-urban and urban spaces. Similarly, they may be queer regardless of their caste and economic location. Unmarried couples, including queer couples, can jointly adopt a child. Regulation 5(3) of the adoption regulations is ultra vires the Juvenile Justice Act, Articles 14 and 15. Regulation 5(3) is read down to exclude the word marital. The reference to a couple in Regulation 5 includes both married and unmarried couples as well as queer couples. The principle in Regulation 5(2)(a) that the consent of spouses in a marriage must be obtained if they wish to adopt a child together is equally applicable to unmarried couples who seek to jointly adopt a child. However, while framing regulations, the state may impose conditions which will subserve the best interest and welfare of the child in terms of the exposition in this judgment. In view of the interpretation of Regulation 5(3) of the adoption regulations, the issue of whether the CARA circular disproportionately impacts the queer community no longer arises.
Today was to go down as a landmark historic day as far as fight for equality, a war being waged by the LGBTQ community is concerned. But today, Supreme Court has in a concurrent judgment ruled that it cannot give legal recognition to the same-sex marriage, as the centre said that it upheld the centre's argument that several laws, including the Special Marriage Act, will have to be tweaked, and also for giving legal recognition to same-sex couples, not only this Special Marriage Act, but around 158 amendments will have to be brought, including in Constitution, Civil Procedure Code, Criminal Procedure Code, Indian and Criminal Procedure Code also, and 24 other statutes, and amending a statute is the job of the Parliament and not of the Supreme Court, and said that it has institutional limits. And so it is the job of the state and not of the Parliament to recognize whether to recognize the same-sex marriage or not.
उधर सुप्रीम कोर्ट के फैसले का कुछ लोगों ने स्वागत भी किया है और कुछ लोगों ने इसकी आलोचना भी की। वकीलों, समलैंगिक जोड़ों की कुछ प्रतिक्रियाएं भी सामने आई, सुनिए।
Chief Justice of India said that marriage cannot be considered as a fundamental right. So that's somewhere. How do you look at that? I mean,
well, marriage is a legal contract. It is true that marriage is a legal contract. It's a legal contract. You call it by any other name. Okay, it's a legal contract. It's the ceremonies that we attach to it that gives it a social context. There is no ban on people, like if I fall in love with you, I can get married to you now. Okay, there's no legal binding. There's nothing that will stop both of us from getting married. The only thing that will not happen is that we will not have a legal recognition of that. Whatever your identity, if you're a minority, your struggle is good, or a woman for that matter, your struggle is a lifelong one. What's important is that the state wakes up and ensures legal protections for people who get attacked, because we have seen in the past that when you have a progressive verdict, society also suddenly rises its hood, and there is a wave of acceptance as well. Despite this verdict, which is not negative, which is non-conformist, which is not saying positive or negative, it just has a directive. I think we will keep our fights on, and we will win.
This was a very important judgment and we all have been looking forward to it, and as you mentioned, you are also one of the petitioner, so I want to know from you how you are looking forward to this judgment.
Yes, actually I would like to see the entire thing is half glass full, not half glass empty. So because here just while read out the judgment, the way Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud read that one, there many issues actually came on the surface which has not been uttered before, like he mentioned regarding adoption, regarding trans relationship. All these things actually been mentioned in a different languages by Chief Justice. So I must say, we are actively in the movement, and while on, when we are involved ourselves in crisis intervention, then definitely we have some argumentative, referral points when we would like to talk to police and some other state machineries. We didn't get that, but at the same time, I must say that yes, the main thing is we never ever got anything. It was not cakewalk to us.
how do you look the way forward? Because it was today's judgment definitely is a ray of hope.
As it is, rights don't come easy. We have to fight for them. We have taken the fight till this far. कितने साल लगे हमको 377 हटाने में, कितने साल लगे हमको नालसा जजमेंट के लिए. Today's judgment is, yes, a ray of hope, but disappointing as well. What we thought would have been a landmark watershed judgment for us, it's not so, but it gives a certain set of guidelines, and we are definitely waiting to see the whole published judgment to understand the intricacies of it. What we understand right now is that there are certain set of guidelines which are very conducive to the community, but at the same time we haven't got the marriage equality that we were looking for.
And we are fighting for marriage equality, right? India is we just work for inclusion, diversity and equality, right? But where is the equality? If we not get our, equal rights, we'll just fight for it.
काफ़ी लंबा तो चला है, मगर सेम सेक्स वालों के कुछ हाथ आया तो है नहीं, बट हम वेट करेंगे आगे जाके क्या होता है, देखते हैं, क्योंकि ये ट्रांसजेंडर लोगों के लिए आया है, ठीक है. सेम सेक्स वालों के लिए नहीं आया है। और अब इस पे हम लोग आगे क्या करेंगे क्या नहीं करेंगे या क्या बयान देना है हमारे
उधर